My name is Floyd Godfrey, and I've been married 22 years to my beautiful wife, Kayleen. We have 3 wonderful children. They give us a run for our money. I'm a licensed professional counselor. Growing up, probably around the age of 14, I suddenly realized that something wasn't right and thought that I might be gay. It was very disconcerting to me. I wasn't sure what to do. During elementary school years, I remember feeling as though I could just never connect with the other boys. I remember feeling not as good as the other boys. I remember feeling like I was always the last one picked for a team. Those longings to fit in with the other boys just never escaped me. I was constantly tortured by that desire to be one of the guys, to feel like I fit in. My relationship with my parents was, I would say it was good, although at times extremely difficult. On the outside, perhaps we were a church-going family and had everything together, but behind the scenes, I was far more connected to my mother, afraid of my father. He was very legalistic and very demeaning, very critical. It was very hard to please him. The rule of our home was you had to be perfect. You can't make mistakes. So I could never quite measure up to my father, always afraid of disappointing him. Felt less and less of a man, less and less masculine, longing for mentorship. And it was during those high school years that all of those emotional feelings really got sexualized. I started to eroticize the longings to connect and the feelings of disapproval. So when I was feeling lonely, it quickly brought sexual feelings into it. If I was fantasizing about playing with the other boys and being with the other boys and being good enough or envious of how they looked and how they acted, it was soon becoming a sexual feeling. I was envious and sexualizing it, and I was lonely and sexualizing that, and then after a while stumbling into pornography and other behaviors which just made it all worse. I certainly could not deny that the gay feelings were overwhelming. I did struggle with some behaviors. I did act out with another man, but the whole time trying hard to reconcile with my faith that's just not who I was. And really, inwardly, I never felt like that's who I was. So I never engaged a gay lifestyle, and found as I went on that there were many in my same situation that were struggling with those feelings, were not living a gay lifestyle, did not believe that's who they were. I'd also had friends who had been sexually molested. That contributed to some of their problems and their attractions. When I was around 22 years old, I finally met a man named Jeff Conrad and listened to him speak and tell his story. And there were so many things I could relate to that resonated. It was the first time I had heard anyone talk about emotional issues as they might relate to homosexuality. And everything he said was just it was so true. It just resonated inside me. And I realized there might be some answers to this, where in the world I was being told that there was nothing I could do. I should just accept this. I was starting to hear from at least one other man that there were some answers and that he had made a change in his life. I devoted myself to reading the things that he was teaching and then finding other men who had been there too, and started reading and discovering that indeed I had emotional wounds and emotional needs that had created, really generated the homosexual feelings. And it was my task then, with God's help, to discover those needs and wounds, to heal them, to meet the needs. And as I did, over time, I found those homosexual feelings decreasing and diminishing. It was not a quick fix. It took some time. I would say it probably took me anywhere from maybe around 5 years, give or take. I was a little stubborn, dragged my feet at times. But give or take, it was about that time I felt like I could solidly say that the homosexual feelings were a part of my past. Dr. Elizabeth Moberly gave me some fantastic advice at one point, and she wrote in one of her books that in order for God to magically heal homosexuality, it would be necessary for him to remove from you legitimate needs and wounds that he had given you. In other words, your legitimate need for male bonding and for mentorship and for friendship and to feel masculine, all these things that God has wired us for, that He would have to remove all that. That homosexuality is simply it's coming out sideways. Our inability to feel within our gender, feel strong in our gender, and not get the bonding and the lack of male friendship or same-sex friendship. That these are the kinds of things that create the homosexuality, and that it's God's intent that we find those answers and we heal those things. He wants us to have those things so badly. He wants for us the bonding. He wants us to feel confident in our gender, to the point that He won't magically cure something like homosexuality, because those other needs are so important. He's wired us to meet those needs. Boy, I have a wonderful life at this point. I don't feel like I'm repressing who I am. My wife and I have a wonderful marriage. Of course, we have normal marriage communication issues that come up, but we've learned how to work through those. Love spending time with my children, helping my youngest on his football team, and with my oldest son and some of his pursuits with his adventure activities and swimming, and my daughter's dance. Love going to church. I love my profession. I like helping people when they come and looking for counseling, helping them work through some of those emotional issues. It's very satisfying, very fulfilling to me.